Howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show. Before the free show where Tepper is just breaking stuff left and right.
That's objectively untrue.
Is it though?
The monitor here is it's an old monitor.
Right.
I blame the man to my right, Greg Powers.
I don't think it's my fault.
Let's talk a little bit about something that was posited in the office before we came in.
Okay.
And it was posited by our own Devin Lewis.
Yes.
Now, Devin Lewis is a sales guy here.
He celebrated Hawaiian Shirt Friday. That's the
Yeah,
guy.
That's the thing. That's the biggest thing about him.
Yes.
But what you need to know about Devin Lewis is that Devin Lewis played offensive line at Euless Trinity.
He claims to be 6'8".
He's a large man. He's a large human.
He's huge.
He's a large boy. It's a large boy. Anyway, he asked the question. Interns included. Could the Dave Campbell's Texas football staff beat a 2A team in an 11-man football game?
And in fairness, a 2A team
That we
that
won't name
would not be rated high.
We won't name
yeah,
names.
they're not going to be in our top 25.
No, not a
Oops,
ranked team.
That's the wrong camera.
As a matter of fact, if we're going to play it, I'm saying we should probably try to find the very worst.
Right, the lowest rated team. And he seemed pretty confident that we could. I am here to tell you with 100% certainty we 100% couldn't.
I could play one play.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm signing up for one play, and
I'm
out.
I got 3 good plays in me.
And that's if I don't get injured.
I specifically asked if we were going tackle or flag because that makes a huge difference.
See, I'd rather play tackle, I think.
I think we have a better chance of
I think we have a lot better chance at flag.
Size
Right.
Yeah.
than that.
I don't think that overall the average quickness would be able to
Guys.
get to the thing that.
Here's the thing. I think we are understating the gap between. Now, look, I'm 35. Okay.
Old.
I'm not even saying that. I would say that as like
Washed.
on the grand scheme of things, like I could still. There are 35-year-old NFL players, right? There are 35-year-old
Some.
baseball players, et cetera, et cetera. There are 35-year-old players for Bishop Sycamore. What I'm saying is that we are understating. And I understanding the gap between a 17-year-old and even Pickle, who is 24.
Yep.
Okay, that gap is huge. Okay.
Yeah.
That gap is enormous, and every year after that, the gap gets wider.
I put Devin in like the range of his age could make him dominant, possibly.
Maybe,
Yeah.
because he's in his late 20s.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think the people that would like really be beneficial on our point. One, if he says interns, we have 4 good-sized 20-year-old guys interning for us right now. So
Sure.
that helps. But Will, our all-state defensive back, helps. He's older than you, but I think Will is he's
Yeah,
still
why does he
he's still
get a
super
pass?
he's still super in shape. And then there's you.
I am not loving the direction of this.
But then
conversation.
Devin is just a massive human, and Ish is still in his 20s and works out. I think those are our 3 ringers
But what I'm
there.
saying is that working out and being good at football are two.
But
very
no,
different
absolutely.
things.
But I was going off of yours, like sheer size might be the only advantage that
That's
we
like
have.
literally the only advantage.
I think Mallory is probably one of our more athletic
Quads.
specimens, and I just
She
don't think
is.
she's going to be able to flip over the goal line to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I think she could be of value. I just don't want to play center. Like, if we had to do this, center is the position I'm not signing up for, and I know that I'm going to get pegged into the offensive line,
Yeah, I know,
right?
me
Like,
too.
I'm going to have to play
Me and you.
play the offensive line, but I do not want to play center because my goal of playing up front, if we just in this theoretical game, would be to stand up all the time. I'd never get in a 3-point stance.
That's your. It's like you can play outside linebacker.
Well, I mean, I would play
he
defensive
would, no,
line
he
well.
would
you
be,
go into a
he would be
2-point
the
stance?
I would play. I could
Shake
get
it
into
up on
a
him.
2-point
You would go
stance.
into a
Yeah.
pass pro set.
Yeah.
I could do a
Hands
pass
on
pro
the
set,
knees,
no,
but not hands on
no
the ground.
3-point stance on either side of the football for me.
Right. So you could do a pass pro set, but you
Yeah.
couldn't do like a run,
That's why I'm not playing center. I mean, that's got to be the most miserable position on the team.
I was going to say,
of
who
all
would be the
people.
positions? That's the real question.
I think I'm obviously the quarterback. I'm kidding.
You did do that virtual quarterback thing 2 years ago at the
I
convention.
did. No, Pickle. I think you're probably. I have you we got to put you at like corner.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we got to put you at
Well,
corner.
everybody has to play 2 ways. So
I mean,
you have
that's
to
it.
have
So
two
Yeah.
you're going to be corner.
I'm DB wide receiver.
You're DB wide receiver. Will is also a DB wide receiver
Yeah.
if he can't play quarterback. Ish is probably our quarterback.
Yeah, I
Right.
would say that.
Step
Mal in the slot.
Step is our tight end / he's our Doug Brooks.
He's on line. He's on the O line.
I would say Mal has a little bit of running back
Can
in
you be
her
a running
too.
back? Yeah.
She's low to the ground, that low
Could
center of
happen.
gravity, and she's aggressive. I've seen her like get competitive and stuff. You don't want to stand in Malpal's way.
Right. I think I would be best suited not playing.
Water boy.
Yeah, I was going to say left out would probably be my best
We
position.
got some other people in the office that we would have to really think hard to figure out what position that they
like,
would play.
I mean, look,
See,
let's be honest about this. Like, 2 of our sales guys have kids in college.
Yeah.
I mean, you have kids in
And
college.
Yeah.
and Rob will be the first one to tell
know?
you like
Yeah,
he's real
2 kids in
tall.
college.
Rob, you would think outside like wide receiver, he's super tall. He hates running. Anything that has to do running, Rob is not doing. Like
Yeah,
he would
we're-
probably be best suited on the offensive line.
I think Devin's got to be at the tight end, but we've got to figure out a way to get the football in his hands sometimes, just so there's not.
We
too
might
many
line him
guys
up
his
at
size
running. We
running
might
the
line him
ball.
up honestly at quarterback and just like run
Direct
him,
snap.
him and Mallory run zone read
Yeah.
and just like you just gotta like you ain't getting any blocks. Like I ain't blocking. I'm in this for me.
We'd have to use an athletic, like I said, we'll have to use an athletic person at center just so they can snap the ball.
I just think I'm just telling you this. I think we have 0 chance of stopping them.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no.
No, defense.
We would need them
no.
to make a mistake.
I don't even think we would try.
No, I would say this is offensive go the whole time.
If they didn't run right at us, we would just fold up.
Yeah. And even then, I don't love our chances.
No.
Anyway, good question, Devin. But there's a 0% chance we can beat.
But we should try to
team.
make this happen. Just throwing that out there.
We absolutely shouldn't. I value my life.
You'll be fine.
And I value my Achilles tendon.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
that's the other thing. We would come out of this with a few catastrophic injuries.
I do think that it's gonna be a snap and knees are just no one even has to get touched. It's
No. I know. Not the vaunted non-contact injury.
yeah.
And here's a statement that makes it plainly obvious that we don't have any business doing this. I switched from a PPO to an HMO for the first time this year.
Ah.
So
That-
just the fact that I made that statement tells you everything that you need to know that I
That's-
don't need to play in a football game.
That's how you know you're washed. Hit the theme expo. Let's go!
Free money! Free money!
Go.
Hey, how to sing blue thing. The shot glass in your hand.
Yes. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It's Texas Football Today, your internet show of choice.
Oof.
My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of thy choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. Speaking of mediocre, I am sitting over there at the helm today.
Oh.
Meg-
Was that a burn on me?
no.
Speaking of mediocre.
Yeah.
Fine.
I was just going to talk about... It's Ashley Pickle. She's the dorks. I don't have a way out of that.
Yep.
It was a good burn.
Hi.
Though. It's a good burn, though.
Here's a mediocre high for you.
It was a good burn for it, though.
Next time you ask me to do something, I'm just going to say, I don't think mediocre people do that.
Today is... Oh, I guess there's somebody else in the studio I should probably introduce.
Yo.
What's
Of
up,
sorts.
y'all?
It's Greg Powers.
Someone
of
who is
Next-
not mediocre. He is exceptional.
It's Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete, a recruiting analyst. Hey, Greg.
What's up?
How are you, man?
Great.
Good to
Too many
see you.
Gregs.
Glad the football season.
Never too many Gregs. But we can all
Hashtag too many
agree.
Gregs.
We can all agree.
Always all Gregs.
Greg only has one G at the end.
I do agree with this.
Yes, that's fair.
For darn sure.
And those of you listening that always text me with 2 G's in my name, It's 1G.
It's literally like Ryan from The
noticed.
Office writing on the notepad.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed. Today is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. It is 85 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to... Whose birthday is today? Give me
I don't
somebody's
know.
birthday. Happy birthday to... Oh, my gosh. I don't know any
This
of
is
these
your
people.
one setup job.
It really is. Birthday to... I don't know.
We gotta find an old school birthday
I know it's a problem. It's all these
thing.
like TikTok people.
I don't
have
know
no idea
TikTok
who they
people.
are. Former Denver running back, or Denver Broncos running back, Clinton Portis. Happy birthday to Clinton Portis.
It's a bad name. Clinton
Wow.
Portis.
Okay, that's fine.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue easily.
On today's show, my friend, episode 1232. On today's show, guys, we are going to have This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. We will hear from our good buddy, Jason Howell, TexAgs, a senior recruiting analyst over there. You had a good conversation with him. I haven't heard the conversation, full disclosure, but I know Jason Howell, and I know the conversation's good.
It was awesome.
I was going to say, see, like shot in the dark. And
Hal's
I
in
knew
our
that-
vlog from last week,
Yeah,
too.
Hal's in our
So
vlog
if-
eating a burger. So
Yep.
if you want to see that, you can hear more of Jason Howell from TexAgs. And then back half of the show, we will be rolling out, unveiling the Mr. Texas Football Top 100 Watch List.
Yeah,
Players
buddy.
we've got our eye on for the most prestigious award in Texas high school football. It's coming up here at the back half of the program. But first, do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Hector Rios, Rob Hadaway, Tanner Solis, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, my friends. Okie dokie. Let's do. Let's go and promo this.
Okay.
Can we promo what we're doing on Thursday?
Shabam.
Thursday is tomorrow, and tomorrow is the watch along.
Yeah.
That's right. We're gonna be sitting in the studio, eating pizza, drinking
Water.
soda,
Carbonated
and watching
beverage.
Fort Bend, Ridgepoint, and Dickinson. Fort Bend, Ridgepoint, Dickinson. We're going to be watching it live on Texan Live, and you can watch it along with us for free. We're giving away the game for free on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So make sure you tune in with us, hang out with us 7 o'clock on
free.
Thursday, and got an all-star cast. It's the incomparable Ashley Pickle, the amazing Ishmael
Mediocre.
Johnson from 24/7 Sports, I don't even have a word to describe Gabe Brooks.
Amazing.
It's singular.
The man from the Piney Woods.
A singular Gabe Brooks, the great Mike Roach, and also me. It'll be the five of us watching Dickinson and Fort Bend Ridgepoint. Make sure you tune in 7 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We're giving away the game live. And I guess maybe I should make sure we're clear about this. In the past years, when we've done the watch-along, you've had to second screen the game, and we've been kind of a commentary track for you. Mm-hmm. We're showing you the game.
Yeah.
If you tune in, you will watch the game with us. Like, the game will be on your screen. You'll get to watch it, and we'll just be your commentary for it. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be fun to watch along. Thanks to our friends at Texan Live.
Man, I might have to stop by for that. Are you guys having pizza?
Yeah.
Man, I might have to make a guest appearance.
Yes, by all means, dude.
I was
Stop
gonna
by.
say, the
we
more
don't
the
have a chair
merrier.
for you or a
That's
microphone,
fine.
But
I
you
just
can
want
just,
to
you can
like
just
pop,
wave in the
I just
background.
wanna, like pop in and hang
be
out
like-
during halftime.
Be like, "There's Bert Emanuel Jr." Like, that'd be really good. That'd be very good.
It just sounds like a good time.
It is.
It
It's
is,
gonna
yeah.
be. It's gonna be. I'm really
I was going to say,
excited.
anyone can come in the office tomorrow and chill with us.
Not
from the
anyone.
staff.
Let's not, I was gonna say, let's not open this up
Not
to
you
everybody.
hoodlums.
Yeah, exactly. The doors are locked. So anyway, I'm Greg Tupper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week
In Crootin!
This
Amazing.
Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter, GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. And I have an announcement to make. Friday, before I did my stuff at Bally, like for lunch, I stopped at Chicken E
Oh, yeah.
and I got the mini poppers.
Nice.
And Greg Powers, you know how much I hate saying this. You were exactly right.
They are
The mini
delicious.
powers are banging.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to peel back the curtain. I haven't had them, so I obviously need to
You're
go
missing
get
out.
them.
There, he's not lying.
It's a different take on the mini popper too. It's not like your traditional.
No, it was
It's a
like
little
I
different.
didn't know what I was getting into, and then I was like so glad I got into it.
Speaking of watch-alongs, we should get Chicken E for a watch-along one time.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be good. Chicken E. Call me. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to here in the Mr. Texas, or rather, coming up here at the back half of the show, the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year 100-player watch list. A few of those players will be featured here on This Week in Recruiting. One of the guys we're featuring here, the prospect on the rise, McKinney 2022 defensive back Damon Youngblood. Damon Youngblood was a guy who, in week 1, certainly made a name for himself. He's a Louisiana commit. He had 2 pass breakups and an interception, and he caught a touchdown in their win over Springdale, Arkansas, Harbert. A fantastic game for Damon Youngblood. And you think this could be a guy that he's a Louisiana commit for now, but maybe making a bigger name for himself?
Yeah, this is a guy who had a really outstanding week 1 game and that 35-28 victory. And for those of you who don't know, Springdale, Harbert,
I don't know.
Whatever.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're a team that's known in the Springdale area, being one of the old stomping grounds I used to have to cover back in the day. They were always a very talented team putting out Division I athletes. So this is a team that came into Texas with expectations to win that game, and Youngblood helped shut them down alongside a few other talented players on that McKinney roster. But this is one to keep an eye on. He's going to be taking an unofficial visit, it looks like, to Texas for game number 1. Gives him the chance to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And look for a little bit more on, this guy and other guys from that game from Guy Frazier, who was our correspondent that attended it this weekend. But Youngblood's going to take his unofficial visit to Texas, and he'll be able to see Louisiana and Texas at the same time. And Texas has started to show some interest, and of course, that's reciprocated with the invitation to come to the game.
Yeah, and that's, I think it's important to remember, because I know for us, we are always very much looking for, especially once we get some tape, we're kind of taking it into context and understanding, okay, if a player, let's put it this way, if like a Highland Park player really stood out last week against South Lake Carroll, we know it's like, oh, okay, that really matters. And so when you're playing a team from out of state like Springdale Harbert, it's hard to necessarily grasp exactly what this means, but just know that this is one of the premier teams in Arkansas. And so to do this against a team like that, it is the equivalent of doing it against a good team from Texas, which is why I think people are starting to sit up and pay attention. They understand that this isn't against some slapdash team thrown together at the last minute. This is a good team here.
I think this segues into a very good point to be made about the season this year, too, because we came through a pandemic year, had limited evaluation period. Some of these guys who are committed to a school like Louisiana are going to continue to get looks from the big dogs, right? They're going to continue to try to flesh out their class, get full 25-man rosters. Transfer portal is always a factor now, but as guys step up and have strong seasons, what doors will be open for them? And this is a guy that just, to keep an eye on. The McKinney has running back Brian Jackson, a number of talented younger guys on that roster, but the guy who stood out in person was Youngblood. So that's something that you should take note of.
Most certainly. Let's move on to our Commit of the Week. Our Commit of the Week, we're going small school. We're going to Marlin, Texas, which is a team that you should be paying attention to because they got some dudes. One of those dudes is their defensive tackle, Jeray Bledsoe, who committed this week to Texas. He had offers from Alabama, A&M, TCU, Baylor. He checks in at number 38 in the DCTF Hot 100. And this is a guy who maybe a little bit raw, but boy, howdy, the tools there are why everybody in the nation is after him.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a 6'4", 270-pounder who rushed for over 1,200 yards and 21 touchdowns as a junior. So, I mean, that kind of tells you what you need to know about his potential upside. And just watching him play up front, he's a guy who, I could categorize as relentless in his pursuit of the football. And give credit to this young man as well. He played for Bremond last year. He's now playing at Marlin. Had to play on both sides of the football, rushed for over 1,200 yards, collected over 100 tackles, was a force on both sides of the football. And it's not easy as a big man to do that consistently, and he showed good conditioning. And he was just dominant at his level last season, and that's what you want to see. Is there going to be some transition from small-town high school football to, the bright lights of the college game in Austin? I think so, yes, but he has all of the tools that you're looking for to be an impact player, and Texas is doing a pretty bang-up job along the defensive front. If there's something that we've been critical here in the recent years, the Tom Herman era, the Charlie Strong era, it was they just didn't seem to have those guys on the defensive line to be in the national discussion, right? There's been one-offs. There's been some really good players up front, but they haven't put together the squad that you need on the defensive front to compete for a national championship, to be in the Big 12 championship conversation every year. And it looks like this is a priority right now for this staff, and it's starting to pay dividends. I think they got 6 D-line commitments now, and all of them are pretty good.
Yeah, that's obviously a place where they're putting a lot of resources right now, is trying to shore up that defensive line, especially if there is a move to the SEC on the horizon, which it will be at least in 2025. But this is obviously a huge man. I love giving the ball to number 99.
Isn't that cool?
It just makes me really
Big
happy.
man touchdowns make you want to rate him higher.
Yeah,
He's
actually,
so
you know what? That's it. Make him a 6-star. That's it. That's it. Him and Doug Brooks, they're 6 stars now.
That's it.
What we're going to do. We're talking this week in recruiting with Greg Powers. Next level up later on Texas football today. Get involved in the conversation. # TF Today. Let's go to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this school name right, but the quarterback at South Lake
Carroll.
South Lake Carroll quarterback Caden Anderson, who of course took over when Quinn Ewers reclassified, and he played Highland Park in the opener, and boy howdy, he looked sharp. I don't think it seemed like as the game went on, they opened up the playbook a little bit more for him and let him make some more plays and gave him a little bit more latitude out there. I think in the early going, it was a pretty conservative play calling there from the South Lake Carroll staff. But when he was able to let it loose, Caden Anderson certainly impressed. 16 of 24, 261, and 4 touchdowns.
You know what? I was torn. Watch this game live, and Owen Allen, 2023 running back, had
Dude, that kid rules.
He really does.
I'm gonna tweet that. I'm doing a long list of players who rule
rule.
this year. Owen Allen rules.
And he's been ruling for a while.
So I was torn, and you want to know what made the call really easy is we've got an interview coming with Owen Allen, so we didn't make him the underclassman of the week. We made his teammate and close friend Caden the underclassman of the week, and here's why. He had the tough assignment of having to fill in for Quinn Ewers, who went on to play college football a year early. Remarkable story in and of itself. But everybody was going to be watching this young man play under center, and everybody's eyes were on this game. And what they did is they kind of dominated a Highland Park team in their home away from home at AT&T Stadium. I've watched a lot of South Lake Carroll games in AT&T. I've watched a lot of Highland Park games in AT&T, and Highland Park is probably the toughest team to beat there. It really, truly is a home field advantage for them there by all accounts. And they were able to go in and ride this guy's and the rushing talents of Owen Allen to a big victory in week 1. It was kind of a runaway thing with them, and large part due to this young quarterback's play. And now I think colleges are going to start to take note as well. 6'4", 210 pounds, has the tools you're looking for, so look for him to start to pick up some major attention soon.
Yes, I think that if you don't know the name Caden Anderson,
you're going to learn it real fast.
Like, Caden Anderson is one of those things like we were telling you, hey, he's going to step in and he's going to be fine. The offense is not going to fall off a cliff. Now there's no excuse not to know his name. Caden Anderson, certainly a name to know there at South Lake Carroll. Finally, let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week.
Who decided to pop off on Saturday night.
Our Recruit of the Week is Bridgeland 2022 quarterback Connor Wigman. 54-14 win over Klein Kane. This is on ESPN. One of the ESPN networks. He's up for Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week because he completed 23 of 33 for 358 and 5 touchdowns. He also ran for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he caught a 17-yard touchdown pass. Connor Wigman, the Texas A&M commit. I'm not a recruiting analyst like you are, but I think he's pretty good.
Well, it just worked out really well this week. We have Jason Howell, TexAgs senior recruiting analyst, and he's going to talk a little bit about Connor in the upcoming interview. And then this dude just had an amazing game. And one thing that I love about Connor Wigman's game is does he not, even though he's athletic, he's a two-sport star at Cypress Bridgeland. He's a great baseball player, but is he not like a throwback type of guy to you? Like, he just looking at his highlights, he just seems like he screams, I'm just trying Bart Starr, or you know what I mean? Like, you just see like some old school type.
He's an old school quarterback, but he can run.
Yeah,
you
but
know
he
what I mean?
runs. That's
he always looks like he's having a blast too out there.
He's a blue collar type of quarterback that plays with new age style. He brings the best of what we would consider maybe both worlds into one package. And to see him get started off with a strong game in game number 1, the future is bright in College Station. The future is bright in College Station, and Connor Wigman's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Well,
this year.
and let me just, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And this is a jerk thing to do.
Okay.
I recognize that, but you and I both know that I'm a jerk.
Yes.
Right now, if you go to texasfootball.com/recruiting, and I want to make sure I get this right. If you go to texasfootball.com/recruiting, a great website, as I vamp, I believe there are 3 5-star prospects in the class of 2020. In the class of 2022, we have Denver Harris from Galena Park North Shore. We have Amari Abor from Duncanville, and we have Kelvin Banks Jr. from Humble Summer Creek.
Yep.
That means, and I know how this works, there are 5 5-stars every year.
Correct.
Right? Or up to 5. I guess
up to 5. We have a disclaimer. In 2021, there was 6 because Quinn Ewers reclassified to 2021.
So there's 2 more spots for 5-stars. Is Wigman in that conversation?
I think so. I mean, I think you have to look at everybody this year. And again, we have to go back to this is an abnormal year. There wasn't the same amount of camps. There wasn't the same amount of evaluation. We're just now getting to look at these guys and show what they can do on tape. This is the tape that's going to matter, I think, the most when it comes to recruiting rankings is the senior tape. A lot of times when you're evaluating these guys, you go strongly off of the junior year. And then, the evaluation period heading into the senior year is almost 90% of the determining factor because your rankings have to be shored up by October, right? Because media starts to come out on signing classes in December, and if you want to publicize your rankings, write magazines about them, then you have to have your rankings finalized.
Who would do that?
You have to have your rankings finalized in October. So, each and every game we're watching as much as we can. And number 15 in the state right now, the number 2 quarterback in the state, I think he is a prospect that we should consider for 5-star status. And I would go ahead and say anybody in that top 25, you're probably eligible.
A guy who's always eligible for 5-star status.
Oh,
Greg Powers, the next level athlete.
smooth.
Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Stick around because I need you to introduce Jason Howell. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Texasfootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe. That is our subscription package. 2 magazines, a year's worth of exclusive online content at texasfootball.com. If you become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider, texasfootball.com/subscribe. And now, a word from our friends. Fast scans, happy fans. Hometown Ticketing is proud to be the official digital ticketing solution of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Simplify your school's ticketing with Hometown, providing schools nationwide with the best options for digital ticketings for their events. Visit their website at hometownticketing.com to learn how they can make digital ticketing possible at your school. That's hometownticketing.com. Powers, Fast
Who did you
scans.
talk to this week? We spoke with TexAgs senior recruiting analyst Jason Howell, a man who is known to get out and uncover some of the brightest stars in the high school game. And right now it's a very exciting time for him as he's covering Jimbo Fisher's highly touted recruiting classes in College Station, and I know he's having a lot of fun doing it.
Here's Jason Howell from TexAgs here on Texas Football Today.
Greg Powers with TexasFootball.com, and I'm joined by one of the best recruiting insiders in the entire country, TexAgs.com's Jason Howell. Good friend of the program, man, and you're always one of my top reads on social media, also all your articles that come out on the website. I just wanted to say thanks for hopping on with us today.
Man, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm always here for you guys. Powers, you're one of my guys. Always have been.
Appreciate that, man. And I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to jump right into it. Texas A&M, under the watchful eye of Jimbo Fisher, has really done a great job recruiting. It's been a fun ride. I know as a guy who covers it year in and year out, you have really seen Texas A&M's always recruited well, but there's been an uptick in recruiting, it seems like, here in the past few seasons. Why don't you just give us a behind the scenes what it's like being Jason Howell, covering a covering a beat of guys who are, the most highly sought after guys in the country.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Since Jimbo Fisher has arrived at Texas A&M, this has been one of the more. This is my favorite period. I've had the opportunity to cover. I covered a little bit of the early Art Browse era there at Baylor. I got to cover the tail end recruiting of the Mac Brown era at Texas, and I've seen up close, some heavy hitters at LSU and Oklahoma as a regional guy. But what Jimbo Fisher is doing at Texas A&M is by far, it's the most fun I've ever had covering recruiting and doing this job. And one of the things that makes it so is they're never out for a kid. If there's a recruit that they want, it's hard. You can't just say, oh, they're not gonna get that guy. That guy's going somewhere else, because as soon as you do that, something happens. They do a great job of hanging around and even when things don't look good, they deal with the momentum swings of the recruiting process better than any staff I've ever seen. And part of it, some of it, win it. You got to win the long game, especially when you're talking about these big time recruits. And they do such a great job of the highs and lows, and in the end being able to reel in, not every one of them, but they reel in their big, their fair share for sure.
Being a recruiting analyst myself, a guy who covers high school football, I was really pumped whenever Haynes King was named the starting quarterback. And I mean, just a guy that I know that we covered a lot. Everybody got a chance to not only watch him grow up in that Longview program, but everybody has a good relationship with Coach John King there as well. So it's fun to watch his son be named the starter. But is there another guy maybe who we don't know so much about, or we haven't heard so much from, that is going to be on the field this year that you're excited to see, that you covered as a recruit?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, just in this past class, Shamar Turner has a chance to see quite a bit of playing time. Deuce Harmon is another one that just over the years you get close to these guys, and those two are a couple. I think Deuce is on the depth chart at two different positions in the secondary, and Shamar has a chance. He's going to be a factor in the rotation this year on the defensive line. So no surprise there. Those two really jump out. And, I'll tell you what, one that really, that I really have loved to see, well, there's two of them there at the receiver position, Caleb Chapman and Chase Lane. Chase was a guy that committed to Texas A&M under Kevin Sumlin. And, he wasn't the most highly sought after guy. He was always known as a speedster, but to see him develop and turn into he's a starting receiver in the SEC, and he's overtaken more highly rated recruits, and it's been fun to kind of watch him along his journey. And then Caleb, I think Caleb was primed to take a big step last year, and the injury really sidelined him, but all signs seem to point to him, being a real difference maker and adding a different dimension to that offense.
Fast forward now to the class of 2022. See that Texas A&M has 14 commits in the bag. 12 of them are from the Lone Star State, and some of the top guys. Looking at that list right now, who are some of the standouts that Aggies fans needs to know about?
Well, Connor Rigman, right off the bat, the quarterback. I don't care what. He's one of the best in the country, one of the best in the state of Texas. You put him up there against anybody, he's going to compete. And I think everybody saw over the weekend what he did in the opener on ESPN. Just lit it up. running, passing, even had a receiving touchdown. Just an all-around playmaker. But make no mistake, he is a skilled quarterback, and with a quick release, gunslinger type mentality. That's a guy you got to know right off the bat. Bryce Anderson, Beaumont Westbrook. He'll be a quarterback for Westbrook. He's going to be a DB in College Station. Projects kind of as a safety corner. Can play several different spots there in the secondary. I kind of compare him to Jalen Catalon because the build and the instincts that they have are similar. With Jalen, it was. I don't think I'd ever seen a kid in high school that seemed to be in the right spot as often as Catalan. And I see a lot of that in Bryce and what he brings to the table. And I think a lot of that goes back to what he does as a quarterback. Malik Silla, another big one, big, long, big frame defensive end out of Katy, just a ridiculous athlete. I think he's one of he's definitely in the top 2 or 3 defensive linemen in the state for me, maybe even number 1. And as far as upside, he's got all the ability in the world, and it was a big part of kicking the class off. And then I got to throw it out to Donovan Green and Bobby Taylor. Those two have been real instrumental in helping build the A&M class. Donovan Green, when it comes to the tight end position in the state of Texas, he's at the top of the list and has been since his freshman year in his class. So he's had to wear that crown for a long time, and he's done nothing to lose it over the years. Just a real athletic kid. It's easy to make the Jalen Weidemeyer comparison, both of them being from Dickinson. And, he brings a similar type of skill set there. So I know a lot of people in Aggieland are excited about that. And then Bobby, his dad was an All-American, played in the NFL, and all he's done is compete and do big things down there at Katy. Had a big showing at the opening finals this summer, and looks like he's back and ready to go for another big year at Katy.
I always love looking at the rankings that you help compile at TexAgs.com as well. We compare rankings notes throughout the year. We talk about guys not only when we see each other out making our rounds, through high schools or at games or at camps, but, we talk quite often about what we see out of this guy or that guy. And y'all's number 1 player in this class, Harold Perkins, we have him in the top 5 or 6. I think we have him number 5 right now in our rankings. And number 5 on y'all's list is Denver Harris, who we have number 1. Both guys are serious Texas A&M targets. So where does Texas A&M kind of stand in your mind? I know you got some sources there that you can tap into in the Houston market to talk about these guys, but the 2 number 1 guys, Harold Perkins and Denver Harris, is A&M a serious player in those recruitments?
Well, and Brownie's our guy down there in the Houston area, and Ryan does a great job of covering that area and heading up the coverage we do on those Houston area guys.
Definitely.
And for those
who don't know, Ryan Bronninger at TexAgs.com is Jason's colleague and does do a great job down there.
And but Harold Perkins, I got to say, I've always kind of compared him to Marcel Brooks and just how violent he plays, except I think he's a more true linebacker than Marcel was coming out of high school, but just a very twitchy, aggressive linebacker who does a little bit of everything out there at Cypress Park. A&M's right there in the mix. A&M, LSU, can't forget about Texas in there. So I think really it's probably going to come down to those 2 or 3 schools. I expect A&M to be very much in it whenever he does decide to make that call, be among his finalists. He was at A&M for for the pool party at the end of July, and all reports are he enjoyed himself and had a good time, and I would expect him to make it back this fall for a game, and then with Denver, man, Denver's hard to read. A&M's in his top 5. I get more of an Alabama-Texas battle for that one, but A&M's in there. I think it's one of those things that's going to come down to getting him back on campus and seeing how it all goes from there. But right now, I'll probably give the edge to Alabama.
14 guys in the class. There's still some room to take some more. Is there a guy out there that Jason Howell feels really good about is going to be a future Texas A&M football player?
I got a few guys that I'm watching pretty close. Bear Alexander, defensive tackle out of Fort Worth Brewer. I'd put, Brennan Thompson, just named A&M in his top 3 with Texas and Oklahoma State out of Spearman, and Chris Marshall, a receiver out of Fort Bend Marshall. Those 3 are guys that I think if I'm making predictions, those are 3 I'm looking at pretty closely to be in A&M's class down the line.
How are they going to round it out? What's the numbers looking like? Do they have like a set feel right now for how many they can work into this class? Is it going to be a full class, or is it going to, err towards that lower end as far as numbers go?
Yeah. I look for them to go try and grab a full 25. So we'll see how it all works out, but I look for it to be in that 25 range. And I think this class, has a chance. I've been predicting top 3 to 5. I'm starting to lean more towards a top 3 type class, and I think they can make a run at number 1 overall in the country. So if the right pieces fall into place. So I look for them to take a full 25. They're going to have to make that happen.
There's a reason why you're considered one of the best, Jason. Some great information for us today. Thanks for joining us. And as always, you are invited back to come on the show anytime.
Yeah, we'll have to talk some 23s. I already got that class rolling, and we'll have to hit on some of those next time.
Let's do it. Thanks for joining us, man.
There he is, our buddy Jason Howell from TexAgs, senior recruiting analyst over there. Good insights there. Appreciate his time as always.
He's dialed in. Some big-time recruits still on the radar for A&M.
And he's how do I put it? He's an interesting case in the sense that, like, you and him operate so differently, but, like, there's so much overlap in the sense that his focus is obviously on A&M, right?
Right.
Working for TexAgs and things like that. But, like, that allows him to, like, go really deep on that, on fewer kids, as opposed to you paint a bit of a broader brush. Which is what makes it so amazing to me is that he is still, like, dialed in on some of these other guys who are, like, way off the radar. They're like, you should have Texas A, like, from a Texas A&M perspective, you should have there's no reason to know this kid. And then he'll be like, oh no, this 3-star kid at some school you've never heard of at Colmsneal is actually a superstar.
He works extremely hard, and they still keep up with a top 100 list over there,
Mm-hmm.
which I think keeps them relevant with not only Texas A&M targets, but with all the other recruits as well. And that's why it's fun to compare notes with him. Like when we're on the road or talking on the phone about top guys, it's always fun to respect the opinion of your colleagues that you're discussing these guys with. And Jason Howell's a guy I have a lot of respect for.
And say it's always cool. Like there's a lot of guys we know that it feels like they're like encyclopedias. Like you open them up and it's just like all this information. And he's one of those guys that you can just sit there and listen to for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, we're going to have 2 more guys like that on our watch along tomorrow with Gabe Brooks and Mike
For sure. And go back and listen to Mike Roach's interview from last week. If you missed it, he breaks down the Texas Longhorns and another guy who has a lot of information.
Exactly. Anyway, we appreciate Jason Howell from TexAgs hopping on with us. Pickle, one last thing to do today.
List time. We like list around
like
here.
Lists, especially this one. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the leading publication for all things football. And I didn't write this. I want to be clear. So when I'm saying that, I'm not just talking up Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Here's a self-promotion read
I was going to
from
say,
Greg
I was
Tepper.
like, this is very nice of the Texas Bowl to say, but it's like, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the leading publication for all things football in Texas, and the Texas Bowl are proud to announce the 100-player watch list for the Mr. Texas Football High School Player of the Year Award. The voters, when appropriate, will add players to the watch list. Mr. Texas Football annually recognizes the most outstanding high school football player in the state of Texas. Each week, Fans are given a chance to vote for the player of the week on TexasFootball.com. At the end of the high school football season, 10 finalists for the 2021 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year will be named. Fans can then cast their vote as to who should be named Mr. Texas Football. The winner of the 2021 Mr. Texas Football Award will be announced prior to the Texas Bowl, which will be played at NRG Stadium in Houston on January 4th, 2022. We've got the list up on TexasFootball.com, the whole 100-player watch list there. It includes guys like Cade Klubnik from Austin Westlake, Amari Abor from Duncanville, Colt Shuckers from Lindsay, Dalton Brooks from Shiner, Dylan Bell from Houston Kincaid, Caleb Burton from Lake Travis, Jalen Hale from Longview, Seth Davis from Katy, Josh Hoover from Rockwall Heath, Ollie Gordon from Euless Trinity, Xavier Wishart from Jim Ned. It's across the whole span of Texas high school football. You can see who's on our watch list for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year award. Former winners of the award include 2018 Heisman Trophy winner and number 1 overall pick Kyler Murray, who was the only 2-time winner, 2013 and 2014. 2012 Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel from Kerrville Tivy. He won in 2010. Former Longhorns running back Jonathan Gray, who won in 2011. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Jaquiz Rogers, who won in 2007 at Lamar Consolidated. Current Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders was our 2017 award winner at Denton Ryan. And Dallas Cowboys quarterback Garrett Gilbert, the 2008 winner at Lake Travis. Hallettsville and Texas Longhorns running back Jonathan Brooks took home the award in 2020. Excuse me. The Texas Bowl will once again feature a matchup between Big 12 and SEC opponents, taking place at NRG Stadium in Houston on January 4th, 2022. For more information on the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year award, visit thetexasbowl.com or texasfootball.com. You can find the whole 100-player watch list for Mr. Texas Football on texasfootball.com.
And it's a big deal to even be named to the top 100 there.
For sure,
like,
on the watch
deal.
list. And I think it's worth mentioning here. If you're not on this list, that doesn't mean you're ineligible.
That's huge, yeah.
These are guys that we've got dialed in. We think that they are our guys. We will then narrow it down to semifinalists, and then we'll narrow it down to finalists, and that's at the point where we start cutting. Right now, everyone's eligible, but these are the 100 players we've got on our radar starting the year for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year award. So thanks to the Texas Bowl for being our friends. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle, the wonderful Ashley Pickle. I feel bad for calling you mediocre at the beginning of the show, so I'm going to make it up.
Whatever.
It just came out so well. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for the America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Want to go ahead. I'm going to throw this up one more time. I know we've done this a couple times, but just want to remind people, watch along tomorrow, 7 o'clock p.m., Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We got an all-star cast there lined up for it for Fort Bend, Ridgepoint, and Dickinson. Make sure to come watch along with us, and you will be able to see the game on the screen. So that's really cool. Yeah.
Watch, even if you mute us.
You can still watch the game for free.
The game for free.
And just watch Tepper's facial expressions.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Greg Powers is going to try to swing by and steal our soda.
The za.
Soda. So make sure you're on with us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch as we stream live the Fort Bend Ridgepoint versus Dickinson game with commentary from Gabe Brooks, Ishmael Johnson, Ashley Pickle, Mike Roach, and myself. So make sure you're here tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Not next week. Tomorrow. You can be here next week, too.
I would say
but
probably
not for a watch along.
Because kickoffs, I guess.
We can't do it as we will be in El Paso.
Yes, for sure. But is kickoff's not at 7 o'clock? It'll be at like 7:07.
I can look. You ready for this? I need you to fill some time here.
Greg Powers, tell me a thing that you think is fun about sports.
Well, I'm just in spirit of what we're looking up. Dickinson had a huge comeback win over Manville in week 1, and they featured Texas A&M commitments P.J. Williams and Donovan Green. So if you are an A&M fan, which is kind of like maybe the vein of this show, the recruit of the week was an A&M future A&M quarterback. We had special correspondent Jason Howell from TexAgs on. So there's a little bit of an A&M thing going on today. So if you are an Aggies fan, you should check that game out for sure.
And I will
Game is at 7.
Thank you. Game is at so kickoff is at 7.
Yes.
So
we'll come
like
on.
6:55
yeah.
Or something like that. And then, by the way, Fort Bend Ridgepoint's chock full of recruits too. Bert Emanuel Jr. is awesome. I know they've got the big offensive lineman Calvin Harvey. Marvin Session, their wide receiver.
That's a guy who I'm really excited to know more about because he's really talented. His recruitment hasn't really taken off, and I think they got a couple of young guys, DK Kalu and some other guys to keep an eye on.
So wait, DK Kalu?
Is that right?
Is that Indy's kid?
I don't know. Let me pull that up for you really
I
quick.
mean, the last name Kalu, and his name was ND Kalu. I don't know. Anyway, that's
While he's doing that, the one other thing I wanted to throw out there is tomorrow we will be doing a college segment on the show, and so I wanted to encourage you with college football season really, really kicking off this week. Go follow our Dave Campbell's Texas Football College Football Twitter page. It's at DCTFCFB for college football. They're doing big things with that account.
well. And
there.
I guess people know, like we haven't said it on the air, but we do have a new guy starting Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, although it's Monday, it's technically it's Labor Day, but I think we're gonna make him work.
In true spirit.
Welcome. Get to work.
Welcome to the party, pal. Mike Craven from the Austin American Statesman is joining us as our college football
Yeah.
insider, so we're excited to have him aboard. And so I will actually be, Ish and I are recording Republic of Football today. I'm going to be on Republic of Football. And so
Sorry.
you can listen to that.
Pinch hitting.
What's that?
You're pinch hitting.
I'm pinch hitting, but it's only for one episode. Mike will make his debut on the Sunday episode of Republic of Football.
DK Kalu is the son of Indy Kalu.
Let's
who played
go.
for the Eagles,
Still got
Redskins,
it.
and
I recognize some of these words.
Still got it. Indy's been a color commentator on high school ball for a while. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us, a lot of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Jason Howell of TexAgs for being our guest. And Powers, thanks for stopping by.
Let's do it again next week.
Maybe see you tomorrow for some pizza and soda.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it by for sure for that. Sounds like fun.
For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.